Welcome to the 301 Colored Commentators, a monthly podcast series where two black men from the state of Maryland debate and give their hot takes on movies, professional wrestling, and TV shows. So have a listen, have a look-see, but nonetheless, enjoy. Hey, what's up?
How y'all doing?
301 Colored Commentators, we're back in the building.
Yes.
Yeah, today, or tonight rather, we plan on talking about three topics as usual. We're going to talk about The Golden Child, the 1986 film by Eddie Murphy.
Classic.
We're going to talk about Hogan and Nash, the Fingerpoke of Doom.
Yeah.
And lastly, we're going to talk about the recently concluded HBO miniseries, We Own the City.
Pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good show.
Yeah. Apart from the recent events, the recent violent events in the world that took place back to back, it seems.
Dog.
Yeah, that okay, let me just say this flat out. Any politician that blames us on mental illness, go to hell.
Yeah, it's a joke at this point.
Yeah, because what's it called? Other countries, they don't got this problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, their shootings, their school shootings especially, are down to a minimum, if not zero. And we got politicians like Ted Cruz saying, this is the most freest country in the world. People come here for our prosperity.
Right.
Just answer the question about why you don't do anything about guns, motherfucker.
Yeah, if these motherfuckers are crazy. Like, if there's anything to prompt like immediate action, it's kids. Because I think at the end of the day, if there's anything that is actually good about humanity, it's children. It's like, because they give joy to everyone. They're like a symbol of hope because, as you already know, we're humans. We suck. We fuck everything up. And like when you look at kids, they're like a symbol of hope because you hope to give them something that you didn't have, and or try to provide them, help so that they can be better than what you were. So there's always hope for improvement through kids. So if that doesn't like prompt you to actually, start any action towards tightening gun laws, because you already know they're not gonna like pull guns off the shelf. That's never gonna happen. But
no, they're not.
At the very least, like gun restrictions and laws should at least be passed. Like the shit has been sitting on the table for 2 years, and we have all these senators with the NRA in their pockets, so they just like act like.
And the most they offer is thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, maybe they should go to their kids' schools and see what happens there, and then maybe that will incite some kind of urgency in their heads or whatever.
Or if it's a trans person of color, maybe they might do something then.
I mean, yeah, so like, yeah, at this point, it's like you ask yourself, why the hell do you even vote? It's ridiculous. Like, even over the weekend, there were actually 4 more mass shootings.
Really?
This past weekend, this holiday weekend.
I didn't even hear about that at all.
I mean, they weren't on the large scale, like, obviously.
But they happen. We're like over 200 in the year. We're not even halfway through. And still, status quo remains the same. It's ridiculous, man. But. And also, what's it called? It's become open season on comedians, too. Ever since the Will Smith slapping a Chris Rock at the Oscars back in March.
Yeah.
What's it called? What's happened since then? Dave Chappelle, he got speared on stage by some guy. Yeah, and security did their job and they fucked that dude up.
Yeah, he looked like he just came from an MMA fight. Like, yeah, face all discombobulated.
Arm twisted up.
Right.
Yeah.
He had to be stretched out of there, dog. It was quite intense.
Yeah, it's become cool to attack comedians for just for doing their job.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm gonna say again, the Chris Rock slap, that was not slap worthy.
Right. I mean, yeah, we even discussed that earlier.
Yeah, we discussed that earlier.
It definitely wasn't.
And the person who speared Chappelle is one of the people that are still mad at a lot of his jokes about the trans community. Like, if you want to be more mindful, you're going about it the wrong way.
Yeah. I don't even understand what the problem is. It's a joke.
Yeah, everything is fair game. Nothing is sacred.
In the comedic world.
Yeah, in the comedic world, nothing is sacred.
Right.
It's like even Caitlyn Jenner can make trans jokes at a Comedy Central roast.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I actually just recently watched her interview.
Which one?
It was on. There's this podcast called The Pivot, which is you know, it's staged by former NFL players.
Okay.
Yeah, she was on there. It was actually pretty good, insightful. I think Caitlyn is a solid person. So.
And can take a joke. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just cool. So.
Did you hear that new Kendrick Lamar record?
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's solid. I think it's solid.
It is solid.
Yeah.
For me, I think it starts off well,
Mm-hmm.
and then as it goes on, it gets to a point where I'm not as attentive as I was at the beginning or up to the middle.
I get that.
Yeah, but it's actually a solid track. From what I've seen from most people, it's like hit or miss. There's no in between. People either like it or they don't. But for me, I thought it was solid as well.
I think it's solid, yeah. Although I will say, Good Kid, Mad City is still his best album.
I like Section 80, but Good Kid, Mad City is like close second for me. Like they were really like neck to neck, and then I like Damn a lot too.
Right.
But yeah, this joint was cool. It was good. I thought it was solid. So yeah, a lot of people have like in my circle have had mixed feelings.
Mixed feelings about it.
Yeah. So, but I thought it was cool. Any other things you're listening to now? Or?
Nothing else current. Oh, this one Ukrainian rapper from Brooklyn called Your Old Droog. Yeah,
interesting.
He sounds like Nas. In fact, when he dropped the mixtapes a few years ago, people thought it was Nas under a different name. Yeah, I'm listening to his recent EP. What's it called? Yod Stewart.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the concept is based after the singer Rod Stewart. It's seven tracks. But what's it called?
Right.
He's always solid with his storytelling.
Okay.
And his cadence of voice. It's like, okay, you are that Droog. I fucks with you.
Yeah. Nah, I hear you.
What about you?
I really fell in love. Like I liked it when it first came out. I thought it was decent. I liked a few tracks, but now I'm actually it's in my rotation now. Last like week and change.
Mm-hmm.
Roddy Ricch's album from 2019. Excuse me for being antisocial. I like that record. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
At the beginning, it was like maybe 2 or 3 tracks that I liked when it came out. Obviously, the most popular one being The Box, but the album in totality is actually pretty good. So I've definitely been rocking to it lately, especially driving. Got some good beats, got some catchy hooks and stuff. So
that's what's up.
Yeah, for sure, man. Anything else in your rotation right now? That's about it?
That's about it, yeah. And what's it called? Movies, that Top Gun movie.
You see it?
I'm going to see it this Friday. I heard good things about it.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, legacy movies, Creed was the last good legacy movie I saw.
Yeah, that was solid.
That was solid,
Creed
yeah.
Creed was solid, yeah.
Top Gun, I was worried about this because it's over 30 years after the original. I was
concerned too. Definitely concerned, but I've at least heard back from 2 or 3 people that I can trust, because I know we've even, before this concept even came out of the sequel, we've discussed Top Gun before, and like the nostalgic effect it has. I mean, rewatching it now,
there is a nostalgic effect to it now, really, and they include a lot of the nostalgia in the sequel. I heard.
That's what I heard too.
But it's also its own story to it.
Yeah.
And Cruise, much to his credit, he's like nearly 60 and he's still doing his own stunts.
Yeah. Oh, really? Even his own stunts in the
Mission Impossible joint too.
Oh yeah, that's right. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Interesting take on that. What's it called? This Top Gun Maverick. Yeah. It's the first time Tom Cruise has ever had $100 million opening weekend.
Really? Since he's been around, he's been around for a while. He's well renowned and everything. That's actually shocking.
Even with the blockbusters, the guaranteed blockbusters, like the Mission Impossible films. How are they not done opening at over 100 million?
I did not know that. This is his first one.
Yeah, that's a shocker for me.
Yeah, I actually was told that the storyline is really good. Like they really thought it out and it's solid. So
and they reference some of the old pilots too, Iceman.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I definitely will be watching it soon at some point.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out in IMAX this Friday.
Okay. Yeah. I gotta watch Strange first before I
Doctor Strange?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. So that's first, and then I'll double back to Top Gun 2. But like, funny enough, watching Top Gun 1 now, it's actually horrendous acting. It's laughable, But because of the nostalgia that you have watching it as a kid, it's still a classic.
It is, yes.
Right, yeah.
The testosterone
Yeah.
and the music.
Yeah.
I have the soundtrack for it on CD too, and it's just
It's classic.
it just pumps you up. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. So, yeah.
And speaking of another movie that came out in 1986, let's get down to it.
Let's do it.
Golden Child. Okay.
Classic movie. One of my favorites in the comedic realm. You want to give us a brief introduction before?
Yes. Eddie Murphy is the star of the film. He stars as Chandler Jarrell.
Yeah.
You notice I pronounce it with a J. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's a social worker who specializes in finding missing children.
Yeah.
He's informed that he is the quote-unquote chosen one and is destined to save the quote-unquote golden child, a kidnapped Tibetan boy who's said to be the savior of all of humanity, the bringer of compassion. It's written in the scrolls that he's prophesied to save the child.
Indeed. Of course, at the beginning, it's all just like it sounds to us.
Contrived.
It's pretty damn funny.
Mm-hmm.
So Eddie Murphy takes it as a joke at the beginning until certain supernatural powers intervene, and he's like, "Wow, this is actually for real."
Mm-hmm. It's directed by Michael Ritchie, who also directed Downhill Racer, Fletch with Chevy Chase, and The Bad News Bears.
Oh yeah.
And it also has Charles Dance, who you might recall as Benedict from The Last Action Hero, and Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones.
Yes. Oh, that's his real name. Yeah. That's right.
James.
That's actually when I first saw him, was in this movie.
Yeah?
This is the first time I took notice of him.
Me too, actually.
Yeah.
James Hong, who recently got a Hollywood star on the Walk of Fame.
Oh yeah, Cali. Yeah.
Charlotte Lewis, who plays Key Nang, aka Agent 69. Eddie Murphy's love interest in this movie.
Yes. For some reason, this is like, for me, her most prominent movie that I took notice of. I know I've seen her in like one or two others, but they were like more so lower budget. I think one of them was like a UK type of drama.
Because she's English, yeah.
Yeah, so, but yeah, this is like for me her most prominent role that I have come across. So, but yeah, pretty cool cast.
Okay, yeah. Despite being a box office success, it earned $79 million domestically against a $12 to $24 million budget. The studio that made it, Paramount Pictures, they considered it a failure compared to a previous Eddie Murphy helmed film that they produced, Beverly Hills Cop, in '84.
Of course.
Yeah. And even though Eddie Murphy's in the behind the scenes praising the film, saying, "This is the best script I ever read. I wanted to do it." And later on, he called the film a piece of shit.
How? I mean, okay, it is. I get it. But it's a piece of shit if you don't look at it in a comedic eye. I mean, the fact that it's a comedy.
If you don't try to make sense of it.
Yeah, exactly. So
there's a lot of this movie was a hodgepodge of a lot of different movie elements. It's not supposed to really make sense.
Exactly. There's definitely a lot of loopholes in this one, but you can overlook them because it's so funny.
Yeah. The Golden Child, the title character, was actually played by J.L. Reed, who is actually female. Jasmine Lauren Reed is her name.
Yep.
Yeah, and she was 7 years old when she filmed The Golden Child, and this was her first and only theatrical performance. She retired right after this.
That's right. You could never tell. She definitely looks like a guy. They did really well in concealing her feminine traits.
Dressing her up like a boy.
Yeah, shave the head so you can't really tell.
And giving her only one line so that you can tell.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be okay.
I know. Yeah. Like you can actually even Google a recent picture of her and Eddie, and you can tell she's all woman or whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a pretty cool element of the cast, you know.
Yeah, what's it called? Also, even though Michael Ritchie directed the film, it was the horror master John Carpenter who was originally slated to direct The Golden Child. Yeah, but instead,
I didn't know that. Okay.
But instead, he opted to work on a similar theme film that was released in '86 instead, Big Trouble in Little China.
Legendary. I love that movie. That's another funny one.
That joint was funny. That was a good action comedy with Eastern mysticism.
Yes.
And both it and The Golden Child shared a lot of the same actors.
I actually noticed. Yeah, I noticed even when I rewatched it, I was like, oh yeah, he's in there.
Dr. Hong,
Yep.
Victor Wong, the dirty old man that let him ask again.
Listen.
What do you think?
What of it? You mean what? You mean what?
What of it?
Ass wife.
Yeah,
dog face.
And then the guy that played Tommy Tong, the restaurant owner, Peter Kwong. He was a long-haired dude that what's it called? Killed when he was lunging at him, like flying at him. Big Trouble in
Little China. Mm-hmm. I was gonna say those were the same weapons, but in Big Trouble in Little China, he had like katana blades, I think.
Yeah.
So, but I definitely recognized him too. Yeah.
And his last appearance in the film too, when he's like, ah! Like, why gotta be stereotypically Asian?
Seriously, though.
That evil Asian look.
Seriously. But yeah, I definitely peeped that correlation between the two movies and stuff. So that was cool. I didn't know John Carpenter was slated to direct this, but now that actually connects the dots. It makes sense.
It probably would have been better had he directed the film.
It would have.
Yeah, he's a better director than Ritchie.
Absolutely. So like we were saying, the idiocy or whatever you call it.
The idiocy, yeah.
Yeah. Of the
script.
Of the script itself would have been polished. I mean, the script would have still been dumb because it's just about directing, right?
I mean, look at Big Trouble in Little China. That's a dumb script.
That's actually a dumb script, but it's actually a good movie as well. You're right. So, but like in that sense, it would have been much better. But because it's classic to us, it's still a great movie. But if you actually are really analytical, it's really dumb. And I think you're right. The directing could have been better in certain.
I mean, the script, the end product as it came out, it was muddled. Yeah,
yes,
and the critics didn't take it seriously, and rightly so.
Yeah.
Because look, it intertwines Buddhist philosophy, with the Tibetan golden child.
Yes, and monastery and everything.
And the Christianity. What's it called? You see the beginning of the film. These Tibetan monks are slaughtered by agents of who? The Judeo-Christian devil.
Devil, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, go ahead.
I was going to say, Sardo Is he supposed to be the devil's like rep on
one of
Earth?
his demons, one of his henchmen demons.
Yeah.
But and it goes back to what I was saying. Possibly, if Carpenter had directed it, he would have kind of correlated a more Buddhist-centric demon than a Judeo-Christian one or whatever.
Yeah.
Something of that nature. But the way they conflict or mesh is just so weird. But it's hilarious and made for a funny script.
And made for a funny script that we still laugh at to this day and still quote to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
Yeah. And the script was originally supposed to be a serious detective story with Mel Gibson as a star.
That part was very shocking to me. I was
Me too.
Mel Gibson, that's a whole 180.
It's
like a whole 180 from Eddie.
Yeah, considering he was Mad Max at the time is what we knew him for. Yeah, that'd be a complete 180 for him.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think it would have met the same success if it was a serious movie, honestly speaking. But then you never know. But I doubt it.
Which is why the studio recast Eddie Murphy in there. He was the biggest thing in comedy at the time, but they think it'd be a big box office draw, or bigger than it actually turned out to be.
Facts. I'm actually a little blown that he distanced himself, disowned the movie or whatever. Because the joint is great, man. It's funny as shit. It is.
Yeah, if he goes to a Comic-Con, an Awesome Con or San Diego Comic-Con, I'm gonna see if he'll sign my Golden Child Blu-ray. And he said, "Oh, you like this piece of shit?"
Does he attend those sometimes?
I don't know, but they're pop culture extravaganza. So if you pay him, he'll show up there.
Let me know. I'm gonna pull up for that. That's an OG right there, legend. I will pull up for that one if he turns up to one of those.
And many of the lines in the script, they were ad-libbed. They were redone to accommodate Murphy, so he ad-libbed a lot of his shit in the film.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And some trivia about the film. You got Chinese actors that were playing Tibetans.
Right.
Yeah. Except for Charlotte Lewis. Ki Nang, she's not Tibetan at all. She's mixed.
She's in the UK. But what is her... Do you know what her mix is?
Yeah, her mother's white, English white, and her dad was half Iraqi, half Chilean.
Wow, so she's not even Asian at all.
No, she's not.
Okay. I would have guessed Vietnamese or Cambodian or something like that.
Something, yeah.
She's not any of those. Interesting.
Or given how her name looks like, what's it called? Like a Black Caribbean father.
Right.
Because they usually have Anglo names.
Yeah, they do.
Especially a lot of them that emigrate to England.
Yeah. A lot of them do. Even till today, obviously that wouldn't change, but
Yeah, even in Jamaica, well, I'm saying Jamaica, even in the Caribbean, when they're centered in the Caribbean, a lot of them still have
Anglo names, Irish names. Yeah.
Names. Yeah, they do. So.
What's it called? When they remember the Yellow Dragons, the biking gang that they.
That was one of my favorite seasons of the year. Look on my left, it was in my bottom left pocket. I got a box full of Tic Tacs. Take as many as you like.
Please.
Yeah, man.
And what's it called when what's her face gets sprayed by the water? Never mind the fact that it's all see through and whatnot.
Right.
Eddie
They definitely purposely did that.
They did that as fan service. Yeah.
Little tease there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
And the one yellow dragon dude that Eddie's interrogating after they beat them all up. Yes. The one who was like, Cheryl,
yeah, we sold her for a pack of cigarettes and
quarter pork fried rice.
He's like, so let me get this right. You sold her. Yeah. We sold her.
That was the late Eric Douglas, a comedian, actor. He's Michael Douglas is from a Wall Street. That's his half brother.
Okay.
Yeah. But for the film though, there's so much plot danglers in the film that didn't make any sense.
That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of loopholes, man. Big time.
Yeah. Like for example, who was the phone call? The phone call to Eddie Murphy, to Chandler, to tell him about where the Yellow Dragons were hiding.
Right.
Who made the call?
Who made the call, and what made sense to do that? Because it sounded like it was probably like one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, what would prompt him to even call Eddie in the first place? It's kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. I was like, yesterday, like the last time I watched it, I was like, why would you call him?
And and probably because he figured out they were so cheap. I mean, they sell a girl for a case of cigarettes and a quarter pork fried rice. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating child trafficking.
No, yeah, of course not. I'm just saying, like.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
Why? I'm like, y'all motherfuckers don't like yourselves, do you?
Right. Exactly. You just. Yeah.
And why can't Charles Dance's character saw the Noopsie?
Yeah. Why can't sweet brother Noopsie?
Why can't he pronounce anything with the letter J?
Yeah, Yanti dagger.
You saw me in trouble with it.
Yeah.
Yanti dagger.
And even Eddie's name, you could have barely pronounced that joint, dog.
Mr. Yarrow.
I was like, wait, what's wrong with this guy? But he was actually a great. I thought he was casted perfectly for it.
He's probably the only legit actor in there.
Yeah, exactly. That too. But that dynamic was pretty funny, man.
And his minions, but him and his minions are retarded. They're dumb.
Dog. They all have some kind of deficiency. There was like the monkey guy.
Yeah. Get your monkey
on my back. And then the dude that looked like a sumo
wrestler, like Edmund Honda,
yeah, and then even the dude that was converted had like a weird face, forehead or whatever.
He was a boxer. That's Randall Tex Cobb.
Okay. I feel like I'm even missing one more.
Probably. I mean, he had plenty of them.
Quite a few of them.
Quite a few of them, yeah, especially in the opening scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and also the minions is like, you think he's gonna be? You think the kid is dumb enough to eat the oatmeal with the blood at the bottom of it? He knows what's there.
Exactly.
Y'all know he knows what's there.
And if they was, then again, I was going to say if they were smart, but then he'd convert all of them. If they were smart, they would take those little petals that he was eating.
Yeah.
But then if they didn't find them, even if they found them, then you just convert all of them. Yeah.
And the kid was so zen-like, he's like, he ain't scared of nothing.
Exactly.
He knows what's going to happen.
The whole time with all this meditation, demonic meditation and scriptures around him.
They'll tell him all the evil
shit.
I'll project my astral form.
Right, and the only thing he would do is he'd meditate and project some kind of images to Eddie's dreams or whatever.
And to which Eddie was like, "Did you see a little Hare Krishna midget floating in a tree?"
It was just a way to, I guess, to reveal the guide parrot or whatever.
I guess the parrot. Yeah, that was throughout the whole film when he brought the parrot back to life.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, and what are your favorite scenes in the film?
There's a bunch of them. First of all, I thought rewatching it, I thought the introductory scene was actually pretty cool and unique. It basically marketed L.A., California, and I'm looking at it now with a completely different perspective than when I first watched the movie. I was living in the UK and I'd never been to the US.
Mm-hmm.
So like you have this image of Hollywood and like America, like wow, it looks dope, it looks amazing.
So you thought the guy reading the chunky ass at the
right, that exactly. Like like magazines were just in the open. You can just go nude. Adult magazines of that, and you can just go grab. I thought all that was,
even now
culture.
Even I've seen that in public before. But I'm like, even I found that uncomfortable. Why wouldn't you do that in public for?
This is actually more common in Europe to see that than even here, actually, which is funny.
I just can't.
Yeah.
Some things are just for the privacy of your own home.
Yeah, chunky asses.
or in that guy's case, his own office.
No, I'm even surprised he kept reading as Eddie, like, looked over his shoulder. He looked
ass
like,
and cake?
He's like, yeah. But, I thought that was actually a great introductory scene. But, like, watching it now, having lived here for a good majority of my life and, like, actually going to LA and stuff, I'm like, you were familiar with a lot of what they were showing because you've seen it all.
You've seen it, yeah.
But that whole dreamy, I guess, illustration that it sells is not really there.
It's
but
not true.
You get it. And I think a lot of movies in that era used to do that in the
like sell you a dream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I thought that was cool. Yeah.
What you later see is like a darker underbelly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, there's so many funny scenes in this joint. Like between his visit to Tibet, which was one of my favorites. When he got robbed, when he was bitter about it.
Yeah. I'm a paddle your ass when I see you. I'm a roll your ass.
Exactly.
To the bleeds.
I'm a roll your ass. To the bleeds. So she was like, in fact, she's like, if he hadn't stolen my Benjamin, I would have got a speedboat to go there. She's like, shut up and roll. Shut up and paddle. Right. He's like, wait, yeah, that's right. I'm a paddle your ass. I'm a roll your ass to the bleeds.
You see a little midget with a $100 bill?
Right.
I can arrange one.
I can arrange.
I'm like, this lady. Okay, you get more humorous as the movie goes by.
Yes. And even like when he gets to the monastery and he's like, when he has to ask for the knife,
like it's a record.
Like it's a record. And he looks at him, let him ask again. He's like, I want the knife, please.
Please.
Yeah, man. Between that, even like you said, the motorcycle scene was another good one that I liked.
The airplane, the airport scene.
Dog, that might be my favorite one.
That had to be ad-libbed all the way.
Dog, yes, that scene is classic. Even when he was riding in the plane, that shit, like, dog, why was the plane so gutter?
Yeah, people smoking, people have
raw food and shit being served in the newspaper. Like, yeah. He's like, he's clearly making fun of the language. And
you can tell her laughing. She's sitting there laughing.
Even their dynamic is funny, dog. Yeah. Like her playing really hard to get her. I can't stand him to like falling in love, and like he's like a lot more distant when she actually falls in love.
You know how are you falling in love and becoming less like shedding your serious layers?
Right.
Because the least serious I've seen you was in that dream sequence.
Exactly.
Which was really his version of you, or at least you wanted to believe that.
Right. That was actually, the dream was actually a show, right?
Yeah, a show in Paris with a bunch of, like a soap opera.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the, what's it called? The airport scene, what's it called? He's shaking all the people's hands like, you, a brilliant man. And you, I can tell you trained under that man, because you have the same glare in your eye.
And this man is like this, dog. The dude's like, I'm just happy to be shaking an American's hand. That's exactly what it looked like. I'm just happy to be shaking an American's hand.
And he's not even shaking the hand, he's shaking the bag.
Exactly, the bag.
All the guns.
Exactly.
And you don't even know you just did it. You really did.
Exactly. Dog. They're a fool for putting that in the script, dog. Oh my gosh. But that was the only way he was going to be able to smuggle the knife. So,
it worked. It worked. What's it called? Another few parts. The dragon lady. That was an unsettling part.
Oh yeah, that was interesting.
Especially when Eddie reveals what she looks like. No more riddles, no more truth. She's dead.
Yeah, I was like, wait. What the fuck?
So, and it's like this part is. I can tell it's CGI, but still.
The
fact that y'all told us all casually early in the film, one of my ancestors was raped by a dragon.
Right, exactly.
I'm like, you say like it happens every day.
Exactly. But yeah, even like now that we're going into the supernatural aspect of the movie, I remember when I first watched it as a child, like some of the parts creeped me out. Like when Sodom Nuspa was first praying to the devil and like the walls fall apart and the devil, I was like, whoa, that's kind of scary.
And the devil's voice.
Yeah.
Frank Welker.
Okay, that's him. That's who plays the voice of the devil.
Megatron.
Oh! Yeah, Soundwave.
Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget.
Same guy, yeah. It is that. That's right. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly, Dr. Claw, yeah.
And even the devil from the Spawn movie, the Michael J. White movie.
Same guy, huh?
Yeah, he always got that deep voice. Yeah. He can do animal voices, like in Tommy Boy, the Chris Farley movie, when the deer when the deer started tearing their car apart.
Yeah.
He was the one making the deer sounds.
I see. I didn't even connect that, but yeah, especially that is a Dr. Claw voice like shit in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
When he's
it is.
It's exactly the same voice, yeah. But yeah, that and even when he switches to his actual demonic form.
My dear sweet brother,
yeah, I can see you breathing right now. I'm trying to understand. But yeah, as a kid, that part used to creep me out too, you know, because I mean those are like Judeo-Christian images, and like when you're young, they paint those like scary and shit. When you know.
Yeah, when you're young and you go to Sunday school, they try to put the message in your head that what's it called, the devil. You're going to hell if you do this.
Yeah.
And as a kid, you believe it.
You believe it, exactly. A lot of those images are just like very parallel to the movie, so you're like, yeah, but. Yeah, now it's very laughable to even watch the shit. Like,
yeah, it is.
Even the CGI is terrible. Like in modern times, watching it now, you're like, damn.
Like I've seen better.
Right, but at the time, it was probably really dope special effects or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. Any other scenes that caught your eye or whatever that you enjoyed?
What's it called?
It's actually a pretty short movie when you think about it.
Yeah, actually, it is. You're right. Just the kid. How he's unfazed by anything, like the massacre at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, he's just chilling.
Just chilling.
As he's getting kidnapped.
Yeah. And what's it called? After they kill everybody in the monastery, Numsa he don't even care to close the door.
Right. He
just leaves it open and just walks off. And y'all are walking in the snow.
Right.
But y'all got a truck when y'all in America.
Right.
Like a moving truck in America.
Yeah.
And y'all move the kid from location.
Location.
You use a girl to get a single family home that y'all fuck up. Right. And then just take him out when all because what? Someone's getting too close?
That's another dynamic I noticed watching it recently. Like, they go from like place to place, and all of a sudden they land in like
a mansion.
Yeah, high-priced, expensive-ass mansion, and that goes for both of them.
Yeah.
When Eddie retrieved the knife and they moved to that home, that shit was expensive.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, where did they get that budget from?
Yeah, where y'all get that money from?
Yeah, I thought it was a low-key investigation. And where does all this money come from all of a sudden? So yeah.
The Chinese got money, or the Tibetans got money.
Got money, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but yeah. Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and also lastly, the opening scene, around the opening scene where Eddie Murphy's with the community that community program.
That shit was funny.
I'm like, y'all talk about you.
Shit was funny.
You talk about you for the community, but here you are talking about tortoises and sex changes.
That shit. I was like, today that wouldn't even be. That's not a big deal. But back then, people were probably laughing like, shit. Oh, she had a sex change? What the hell? So random.
Yeah, Teddy can kiss my ass.
Yeah, Teddy can kiss my ass. Yeah, man. Let me see. There were also some other interesting. When he was about to pray to the devil, do you notice like the suitcase or the luggage container that he pulled out the carpet or whatever?
Yeah.
Shit was Louis Vuitton. I was like, wait.
The devil rolls in style.
Yeah, I was like, what? I thought that part was very interesting.
That's funny.
Right. And then also the scene. The scene where they were talking about the yak meat to make your shit stand up.
Another wrong with my yak meat.
Yeah, no, the guy was on the yak loin, dog. And another thing that was funny is his necklace that saves his life also is shaped like the pieces of the yak loin, dog.
Oh, you?
You get that, dog?
I do now.
That shit was. I was like, wait, why is that?
Wow.
It looked like
That's a good catch.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, that's funny. I didn't even get that scene. Obviously, I was a kid, so I didn't get that part.
Me neither. Yak loin.
I was like, that yak loin scene was hilarious. Hilarious, man. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that's all I got for this film.
Yeah, me too. I think I know. Oh yeah, one more thing.
Yes.
Eddie had like a interesting Pan-African look with his little hat. The box hat. It's like this man is interesting. I thought that.
And he had a do-rag on too when he was playing with the
kids.
basketball kids.
The kids, yeah. I was like, wow, yeah, absolutely.
One thing I didn't get was what's it called? Ki Nang. How does she have a personality change at the end of the film? You spent most of the film all serious.
Yeah, and now she's all like,
I'll bump it to like you all playing with them like
casual, casual. Like, wait, what? You literally came out of your shell. It's like when he resurrected her, she became a whole new being.
She became cool. Yeah.
Straight up.
So what's it called? So I guess the lady doesn't have to ask twice now.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. Like in the whip.
Yeah, although I don't think Eddie will be tying her up in no toilet paper.
No. Yeah, definitely
Good.
not. None of that dream stuff. Yeah.
You know my legs are much more attractive.
Indeed. Yep.
All right. Shall we go?
Yeah.
Okay. The next topic we're going to discuss is the infamous, controversial Fingerpoke of Doom. What do we mean by the Fingerpoke of Doom? This.
Classic.
Yeah. What's it called? On January 4th, 1999, on WCW Nitro, Kevin Nash, the leader of the NWO Wolfpack, and the then current World Championship Wrestling Champion, he was main eventing an event against Bill Goldberg for a rematch of their championship bout from Starrcade a week prior.
Yep.
Yeah, see, Nash's victory against Goldberg at Starrcade was marked by interference and basically had an asterisk right next to it.
Yeah.
So Nash said, okay, in order to dispel all that controversy, people say, I didn't win legitimately, I'm going to give Goldberg a rematch.
Right.
But on that Nitro event, Goldberg, he ended up being arrested by the police because of a trumped-up charge by who? Miss Elizabeth, saying that he sexually harassed her. And
I forgot about that, yeah.
And of course, Hogan... Hulk Hogan, who was teasing his retirement kayfabe by saying he's going to run for president.
Right, because Ventura, I think, had just won governor, so he felt like, I'm even more popular than Ventura.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And the last time that he had wrestled in an event in WCW was in Halloween Havoc of 1998.
Okay.
In October of 98.
Yeah.
So what's it called? So he offered to
Hogan.
He offered to wrestle Hogan. Ric Flair set it up and said the match against Goldberg would still be on.
Right.
But what happened was Hogan walks down gingerly to the ring, and then him and Nash waste time in the ring, fake like they're gonna hit each other. And Hogan just pokes him, and Nash just does this exaggerating tumble till he falls on his back. Hogan gets a 1, 2, 3. He wins the belt right back, and some members of the NWO come in and celebrate. Yeah.
Those that were at odds were now friendly, and it was almost like a reunion.
Yeah.
Of both sides or whatever.
Yeah, between some members of the NWO Hollywood and the NWO Wolfpack.
Yeah.
It was like and they formed the NWO Elite, and what they did was they were slowly getting rid of the members who weren't part of the Elite.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's a way to weed them out in a sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if it sounds like that episode of Nitro was written hastily and by some of its actors, then you're most likely right. I mean, the Fingerpokes of Doom, they laying down for the pin like that, they become like a staple in pro wrestling since.
Yeah.
And they have strong and negative connotations because that night on Nitro, the fans did not get what they paid to go see. Yeah. Nash against Goldberg. That didn't happen at all.
I thought that shit was the reaction for that whole... I watched that scene several times and I was paying attention to different things. The fans' reaction was hilarious. They were blown. Some of them were happy, but most of them were blown. That wait, what the hell?
Yeah.
This is not what I came to pay. This is not what I paid for. Whatever.
Not at all.
But yeah, and then as they celebrate, somehow Goldberg is released from prison, and then drives to the arena, runs down like an idiot, thinking he can beat them all up. There's like 8 guys in the ring, and by him's lonesome. So he gets jumped and gets beaten accordingly, and it gets the NWO sprayed on his back, his head. And obviously the title was also, whenever they win that title, they spray NWO. Especially when Hogan wins it, they spray NWO on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, what were your thoughts about that whole thing?
Okay. I mean, apart from the fact that it has strong negative connotations, and Nash overselling the poke the way he did.
Yeah.
This is the downfall of WC. This is the beginning of the end of WCW.
Yeah.
I won't say it's the event that was the where they shot themselves in the foot and it was over for them.
It was like a turning point.
But it was a starting of a turning point for them, especially for their ratings.
Okay.
And I'm like, why the hell?
This one really blew you, huh?
It just bothers me why they would do this like this for the whole Nitro event. They just it's like they were trying to hurt themselves.
Yeah.
It's like even when Tony Schiavone gave away the ending to their
to WWF.
to WWF's Monday Night Raw, the counter show on USA, by saying that Mick Foley is supposed to win the title, and he sarcastically says, "Yeah, that'll put some butts in the seat." Yeah, and it also made it so that Raw won the ratings that night too, Schiavone.
It did.
Yeah, Mick Foley, he won the belt, and then a fan came on Raw next week with a great big ass sign that read, "Mick Foley put my butt in this seat."
Yeah. No, these are all facts, given the time frame that it happened. But for me, I loved every bit of it, dog. I enjoyed it. I did. I think this exemplifies everything the NWO stands for. They don't give a shit, and I love it. I love it.
At this point, the NWO concept was just old at this point.
This is so. I guess at the time I don't understand why it went the way it did, but this is a beautiful way to like refresh everything that the NWO originally stood for. Like fuck kayfabe, fuck insulting these people's intelligence by following the script of the good guy, bad guy bullshit. Nah, man, we're a new world order takeover. These fans still love what we became as characters, but at the same time as rebels, like they love that attribute about us, like the whole rebellious thing that we do about the usual. So like as everybody is gearing up, this is about to be a great fight as they psych each other out, they lock up, whatever. And he just pokes him. Nash falls. Hogan pins. It's excellence to me, dog. I actually love it.
It's a diss. It's a diss.
And it's great. It should be a diss. That's what the NWO is, dog.
But this is just going back to the well again. It's like proving the WCW don't got no real ideas. And it's like, behind the scenes, who okayed this? Okay.
Why is the WCW even good? Why? How did it even become...
Because NWO made it good.
Thank you.
Only for 2 years.
Right.
And the concept became old by 99. It became old.
It did become old. So this is a nice way to reset it, but the time frame...
It did not work.
It didn't work because of where everybody was.
And the manner in which they did it, too.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I love that shit, though. That shit was amazing to me.
Okay, but... It's just another example of how you should not be allowed to book yourself, which is what Kevin Nash was doing.
Right.
And Eric Bischoff. Here's the thing. Let me give some background.
Right.
The booking committee for WCW, the ones that books the wrestlers and the events.
Yeah.
Some wrestlers are on that committee. DDP and Kevin Nash were. While they could influence the decision making, ultimately it was WCW president Eric Bischoff who had the final say, and he okayed the Fingerpoke of Doom.
Because he's a genius like us.
Genius? The motherfucker's stupid as hell. That's why the company went under.
It was bound to go under anyway. What the quality was not.
And letting Nash book himself, that's a taboo. It was something that the Click was doing back then too.
I get it, but I mean, the revival of WCW was through the NWO. The shit was losing its luster, so they had to do something very NWO-like. And I think this is a beautiful staple of history that represents the NWO. Even though the company went under, this is why we love the NWO in the first place.
But this relaunch of the NWO, this was more business. This is more about business as opposed to like giving the fans what they wanted.
Correct, and it failed.
It failed, and it's a contributing factor to why WCW went under. I mean, the fans were tired of all these weak finishes and matches that never happened.
True.
After the fact, yeah.
True, but even at that time, I'll be honest. My love for wrestling was starting to fade. So I remember. I think I watched wrestling another year and then I tapped out. I think I was done with wrestling with 2000. I think by 2001 I wasn't even watching the shit.
Another reason why Hogan got the belt this time around too, not just because of Nash booked it so that Hogan would win and he could be on Nash and Nash could be on his side and get more money. Now Hogan signed a new contract. What's it called? And the creative control clause was still in his contract. So and ironically, he lost the belt at the Georgia Dome to Goldberg in July of '98, and in July 4th episode of Nitro, they're back in the Georgia Dome again, and he wins the belt from Nash with a poke.
With the poke, yeah.
And curiously enough, WCW knew their ratings were going a little bit downhill after that, so you know what they did? They tried to negotiate something with NBC so they could have their own Saturday night's main event type thing going on there.
NBC, yeah, it didn't work.
It didn't work because NBC would have allowed it because of the NBA lockout from '98 to '99.
Oh yeah, it was that year. Yeah.
But then when the All-Star game got restored that year, their plans for like a WCW Saturday night's main event just fell through. Yeah.
I would say the only one thing I regret about that whole event or that spectacle was it was Goldberg that was getting beat up. Not that I liked Goldberg, but I would have rather enjoyed it being Sting. Because I hated Sting at that time. I still do hate Sting from that era. I don't hate Sting in general, but that era of NWO, I couldn't stand Sting, and that would have made my day if Sting was the one getting jumped in the ring.
Did they ever truly jump him at all?
They never did, dog.
I mean, even when he came out from the Raptors, they never got the drop on him.
Probably why I also stopped watching that shit too. He used to beat the whole crew with a
baseball bat and a scorpion death drop.
Dog. Talk about insulting my intelligence.
And all
rubbish, dog. Yeah, man.
And Eric Bischoff, him too. It's like, what's it called? When the company started going further under, the Turner broadcast executives told him, "You're no longer going to be allowed to use the formula that brought you to the dance. You're no longer allowed to use a formula that nearly put Vince McMahon out of business a few years ago."
Wow.
Basically told him, get new ideas.
Yeah.
And nobody will confirm who originally came up with the Fingerpoke of Doom. You got mad people trying to wash their hands clean
up because it was the downfall.
Yeah, Nash, Kevin Sullivan, who was part of the booking committee.
In modern day, I would probably admit to that shit. That shit was genius to me, man. I love it. Yeah. I know you hate that shit, Si, but I love that shit. I think it was great.
I hated it. I
think it was great. Especially where I was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That the whole script was starting to get on my nerves. This was a good breath of fresh air of like, we've been insulting your intelligence all this time. Fuck it. We'll keep doing it. But we were doing it in an NWO fashion. And it was great to me.
The WCW, their storylines, they sucked. And it's like by 2001... Yeah, the WWF bought out their logo and their name, and then Vince McMahon personally bought out their entire video library, basically making WCW his.
Oh yeah, one with him. I think one time he bought ECW as well, right?
Yeah, around the same time, yeah.
Yeah. Does he still own it or no?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you still see like NWO shirts sold under the WWE banner.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like ECW stuff. I don't know.
I don't think I've seen any.
I remember the night most of them came on Nitro. I mean, on Raw that night, a mix of WCW and ECW wrestlers. Yeah. I was like, okay, McMahon bought out his two biggest competitors.
Yeah, the biggest wrestler at the time was Van Dam, right? Rob
Van Dam, yeah. Okay. I mean, they already had some ECW acquisitions over there, like the Blue Meanie, the Dudley Boys.
Oh yeah, the Dudleys were from there. Yeah, yeah, that's right. But yeah, I thought it was great. So like, when you actually sent me the link and I watched that, I was like, this is amazing.
I can't tell if you're trolling me right now.
No, I actually really authentically enjoyed it, and I authentically enjoyed the fact that the fans were pissed too.
Now I'm sitting there thinking, now I see why the fans actually throw these expensive ass concession items into the ring.
Yeah, exactly.
If I would have been there, I would have grabbed an entire soda machine and thrown it in the
ring. There was one particular fan that was close to the front.
Yeah.
That when they did the poke, he was like, "What is? Oh hell no!"
Yeah. And he was right to have that reaction. Good for him.
I loved it. So yeah, kudos to the NWO for doing that. But now they should man up and admit it.
Yeah, somebody should just come out and admit it. I mean, if Shawn Michaels and McMahon come out and admit their parts in the Montreal screw job,
they could do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you 100% on that one side. So, but yeah. Shout out to WCW for falling apart after that.
Yeah, it wasn't really till April that their viewership started going downhill. I mean, in February they still had like a 5.7 rating somewhere up in there somewhere.
Okay.
That was on par with Raw, but by April of '99,
I actually think it was, even though this marked the turning point, I think it was more so that they lacked good writers after a while. The script they just ran out of ideas, like you said.
and they tried to bring over in the summer of '99. They tried to bring over the writers from WWF, Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara. It still didn't work.
Yeah.
They tried to bring the whole Attitude Era flavor over to WCW, but nah, it doesn't fit with the WCW wrestling.
Right, I know. Yeah. Yeah, and like my like I said, my timeline of being an avid fan was numbered. Like, I think I probably watched another like 8 months of it, and
by that year,
I could give two shits about watching it from Monday to Monday or keeping up with the pay-per-views and stuff.
Yeah, my senior year, you were done.
Yeah, I was gone though. I was definitely like, I wasn't a fan. But yeah, man, shout out to the NWO for life. I'm still a fan, man, for sure, for life. And then rest in peace, Scott Hall.
R.I.P. to Hall.
Yeah, man. And then shout out to Nash. We met him too. Yeah. So.
The Super Shredder.
Yeah, and he was in Punisher too, right?
Which one?
Was it the first Punisher?
The Dolph Lundgren one?
No, not the Dolph Lundgren one. There was another one that came out. He was like a henchman. So he got into... He wasn't like a main actor. He was like a henchman, and he fought... Was it the Punisher that he fought? Am I mixing him up with another superhero? I have to double check, but I feel like he's in one of the Punishers. One of the Punishers that wasn't good.
None of them were.
Oh, they never... But the show was on Netflix.
The show was. The Marvel produced show was, but the movies were not.
Yeah. So it has to be... The movie has to be between 99 to like 2004 or 5.
Okay, then that's the Thomas Jane Punisher. That one came out in 2004.
Yeah, probably. I think he was one of the bad guys. He wasn't like a scene. He was like a big dude, and you could tell it was Nash.
I'll have to rewatch that.
Yeah. I think he's in there. But yeah, man. Shout out to them. Alrighty, shall we move?
Shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. Lastly, we're going on to the HBO 6-episode miniseries "We Own This City," created and written by David Simon and George Pelecanos. Yeah, it's based on the nonfiction book by reporter Justin Fenton, "We Own This City: A True Story of Crime, Cops, and Corruption," about a gun trace task force unit within the Baltimore City Police Department. Yeah, each episode of "We Own the City" was directed by Ronaldo Marcus Green, who also directed Monsters and Men, Joe Bell, and the Oscar-winning film King Richard, starring Will Smith. Yeah. And John Bernthal, who stars in "We Own the City," he was in King Richard as well.
Oh. Yeah. He was, yeah. I didn't even piece that together. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, many people call "We Own the City" a spiritual successor to The Wire because of how it focuses on the Baltimore City Police Department and has many actors and actresses that were on The Wire, but now in new roles. But the miniseries details the rise and fall of the Baltimore City Police Department's gun trace task force and the corruption surrounding it.
Wow, man.
And like The Wire, the main character of the city itself is really Baltimore.
Yeah, real talk.
Yeah, it has several DMV/Maryland actors in starring roles in this series, like John Bernthal, Darrell Britt Gibson, Josh Charles, and Delaney Williams.
They're all from here, huh?
Yeah, they're all from here. Yeah.
Dope.
Josh Charles, he's from Baltimore. Johnny Bernthal, he's from DC. Okay. And Darrell Britt Gibson and Delaney Williams, they're from here in Silver Spring.
Shout out. Yeah.
Also part of the main cast were Jamie Hector, who was most famous for playing Marlo Stanfield on The Wire. Who else? Wunmi Mosako and Don Harvey.
I remember Wunmi from Lovecraft.
That's right. She was in Lovecraft Country. I thought I recognized her.
She's the one that kept turning into a white lady. Yeah.
Oh, I thought I recognized her. Okay.
I remember her from there. Yeah.
Here she plays a DOJ advocate, Nicole Steele.
Yeah.
And also, side note, my cousin Emmanuel Carey, a local burgeoning actor, he was on this show as well too.
Nice. Shout out to you. What was he at?
He played Officer Blackman. He was on episode 4.
Okay.
Yeah, he had one speaking part, one lineup in there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was a cop.
I have to rewatch it just to look out for it next time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shout out to UK.
Nice one there. Yeah.
What else? The show doesn't just involve the corrupt Baltimore Police Task Force. They involve like federal law enforcement and even adjacent county cops, like the Baltimore County cops and the Hartford County cops as well too, all of whom unwittingly get caught up in the GTTF's corruption.
Yeah, I guess one of the I know I haven't watched The Wire completely or whatever, but I guess one of the major differences between this and The Wire is it focuses on the police characters only. And then The Wire is from both sides, right?
Yeah, The Wire focuses on both sides and on most of the institutions in the city of Baltimore, like the City Hall, the Education Department, the Journalism Department, and even the working class.
Okay.
Yeah, but this right here is just focused on the GTTF.
Yeah. So go ahead. I kind of interrupted you.
That's no problem. Most of the series was told in the framework of flashbacks. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Starting and the main character, the main actual actor, the lead character is John Bernthal's character, Wayne Jenkins.
Yep.
He started out as a innocent uniform cop in 2003, but later by 2017 he's like a egomaniacal sergeant who just lords over the city of Baltimore with thinks he can do whatever the hell he wants with the task force.
Yeah.
And Johnny Bernthal, much to his credit, effectuates a Baltimore accent and says, "As long as we're bringing in the guns, we can do whatever the fuck we want."
Yeah. He to add to what you're saying, his ego was created by the police force itself. Because I think when he first got there, he recovered like $1 million worth of cocaine. And he was heralded and praised a lot before, and so that got to his head.
Yeah, it did.
Felt like he was invincible or whatever. And it created a monster in the long run.
And also outside stuff that they show on the show too, not just his work on the job that went to his head, but like I said before, he's a straight-laced rookie at first.
Yeah.
But he's insecure about money.
He is.
Like you see him at a friend's party, he brings some crabs. And then it gets dejected when his friend says, "That's nothing. I got steaks and lobster on the grill."
Yeah.
Or
That's right. I didn't even catch that. Yeah.
Or even among his own police, his own police members, part of his own unit, when he's like, "What the hell are you drinking out of this bougie ass bottle for anyway? What the fuck is Pat Ron?"
Yeah, it says Patron.
It's Patron.
Patron. He's like, Pat Ron. I was like, when that scene first came on, I was like, wait. What did he thought? It was like his Patron. I was like, oh shit, he's never.
And people laughed at him. He's like, "I knew what it was. I was just fucking around."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Trying to cover it up.
Patron, Pat Ron.
And
I forgot about that scene. Were they at like a bar or
outside they were outside one of the BPD buildings or whatever.
That's right. I remember that now.
Even crooked ass Officer Herschel. Well, they're all crooked, but
yeah, Herschel stood out a lot because he almost felt like a racist. He almost felt racist.
He was a real bully.
Yeah.
And in the show they cite him as an example of corruption in the BPD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
there's always one caveat: he's only had one charge actually sustained against him.
Right.
Just one.
After having several complaints and even been sued a few times.
Yeah. I'm like, why does this motherfucker still have a badge?
Right, exactly. They were supposed to transfer him somewhere else, right? And then they were like, nah.
Keep him where he's at.
Yeah, keep him where he's at. I was like, wait, what?
It's a stat thing, really.
Yeah, it's a stat, exactly.
Yeah, he gets a lot of people off the street and it makes the stats look good for the commissioner when he goes to the mayor.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They were all kind of...
In
the long run, they were all kind of...
He's a necessary evil.
Yeah. In the long run, they were all kind of corrupt, like reading up. And I don't know if the show, because I don't want to reveal what happens at the end of the show or too much because it's still a fresh show.
Yeah.
But even the mayor, a few of them were caught up with some illegal shit, if I'm correct.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what looms over a lot of the plot is the death of Freddie Gray.
That's what kind of led to the unraveling of the whole GTTF. I said not GTTF. Yeah, so.
And they would just make bullshit excuses to pull people over.
Yeah.
And they would plant evidence on people where they couldn't find nothing.
The
take their money.
The most common method of pulling people over was the seatbelt.
Yeah,
So they would like even get banned. You know how like when you're leaving the gas station,
yeah.
like you're moving a little bit before you actually pull the seatbelt over. So they would get people.
Like you to put your seatbelt on before you grab the motion.
Right, like who does that? Nobody does that.
No one does that.
You'd be like, wait, you smell like marijuana. You have marijuana in there? Like, that's kind of like how it leads to the search. And a lot of people don't really know their rights.
No, they don't. So they get
succumb-
scared.
Right, and they'll succumb to it, and then they'll plant stuff. Plant. And they would use that as an opportunity to steal the drugs and or steal money.
Yeah.
And like that resulted in a lot of people, like for instance, when they would steal like some of the drug money and the drugs,
Yeah.
they would even release the people to go back into the general public, and they will have to answer to their drug lords, and which is a death sentence basically.
Sergeant Allers, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, was it when they stole that $10K from that single family home?
Yeah.
And then months later, the owner of that home was killed by the drug dealers. That was money he was going to use to pay his debt off to them.
Exactly.
But you see, Allers, he really felt bad about that. Like, good, you should feel bad.
Right, he should. Exactly.
Money hungry motherfuckers, man.
And like when they would fuck up, they would have ways of getting around it. Like have one of the people from the station bring a gun to plant on the scene.
Yeah.
They were wild, man.
Retired cops in Jenkins, he was the ringleader.
Yeah, he was. He stole a lot of money.
He even stole a midget stripper's money.
Yeah, he took her to the back room and
and ran outside. And even his fellow cops, they're like,
wait, you fucking stole her. Come on, man.
Like all y'all are crooked, but this is where y'all draw the line.
Yeah, like right,
a stripper, a midget stripper at that.
Like that one is acceptable, but everybody else is. Yeah, they're all fucked up, man. I was actually it's very interesting. You hear about this stuff sometimes in all these corrupt forces, but then actually seeing it enacted.
Seeing is believing.
Like the details, you're like, wow, and like how it affected the people that they were fucking with.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, people are going to jail for like innocent people are going to jail, or like even if they were criminals, they're getting killed because they weren't even apprehended.
Nah.
They were actually left back to go back into the general public, and they will be killed by
whoever, whoever's got beef with them.
That do exactly that. They were had to answer to.
And the cops are like, yeah, let the animals wipe themselves out.
Right.
One less person we got to deal with.
And that's the mentality.
That's the mentality, yeah.
And a lot of them have. So it's like their justification for doing what they do, which is still not right because nobody asked you to do that job. Yeah. You chose to be a cop. Yeah, you chose to be a cop, so you have to assume the responsibility and shit.
The Baltimore Police Department and David Simon, he's also a BCC graduate like us, so shout out to David Simon.
Shout out to the Barons.
Yeah. What's it called? Much like The Wire, he's using this show as a treatise. Like what's on the police force. He often cites the war on drugs as a reason why the police force are so militarized.
Right.
And how any attempt to reform the police force is met with scorn. Yeah. Like here on this show, Nicole Steele, her character. Yeah, it's like she wants to be a reformist. But it's like it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen, man.
You got a weak ass police commissioner, and this institution is just immune to change.
I don't even understand. I still don't understand the concept behind the or should I say the heavy policing in these areas where you're just, and it just goes to reinforce the fact that the police force and the jail system is a business. And that's why it keeps sustaining the way it does, because it's the same fucking cycle, continuous, nothing changes, and they don't try to look into what can help to change. Like I've always said, those communities need facilities and things of that nature to like change that cycle. So like the more opportunity people have, the less likely they're going to go back to that lifestyle.
Right.
But then they rather put that money or invest that money in more policing. So there's like the same fucking cycle of just more cops arresting more people. But since there are no facilities or schools or good schools or things of that nature, all you're doing is just recycling like a new cycle. So you jail these folks, and the next generation, or not even, they'll put them back when they're released. And obviously, when you go to jail, like you're a felon, so you don't, you can't do much of a job, so you go right back in. But even then, when you're locked up, you have younger generations that come up in that same environment that don't have those opportunities, and all they know to make money is that illegal shit. And it's just, so it just doesn't make sense to me. But then when you think about it and you understand that it's a fucking business, at the end of the day, it greases people's pockets and palms. Pretty much. Then you understand why it's just the stupidity just keeps going on and on.
It's just perpetuated,
at the expense of our tax money, man. So But yeah.
And the cops, they openly snitch on each other after they got caught.
Yeah. And my man thought they weren't snitching.
Wayne Jenkins thought they weren't snitching. All because he wouldn't snitch. He figured they wouldn't either. There ain't no honor among.
They're not trying to spend the night in jail that long.
Yeah, ain't no honor among thieves, even among the police force.
Hell no.
No.
But yeah, absolutely.
And he's basically wondering, you better not say nothing, all right? Better not say nothing. I'm like, yeah, right, motherfucker.
Right. Exactly.
And he kept here talking about, I got suspended with pay for doing all this shit. I was like, wow.
I even forgot. In addition to all that shit they were doing with the stealing of the money and stealing the drugs.
The drugs, yeah.
They were also like falsifying their fucking time cards.
Yeah, for overtime, yeah.
Yeah, they were milking the system. Like, so they
were milking it because the overtime budget was pretty much unlimited. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know what? Let's just milk that shit for all it's worth.
And they weren't even discreet about it. They'd like
Openly
do like they'd come in. They'd like work 2-hour shifts and claim overtime, or like sometimes they'd be on vacation
and still claim overtime.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. So,
Nah, it doesn't. I'm like, you're gonna get caught the more you do it.
yeah, they
Someone is taking all that shit into account somehow.
right, exactly. So yeah, that shit was wild, man. But yeah, they all snitched, man. They all snitched on him, and you couldn't believe it. I'm like,
why can't you?
Yeah.
Just because you're honorable, even though being honorable, not being dishonorable in this case would have saved your ass.
yeah,
But even no. I was gonna say what's it called that who was it? They were even trying to tell him at one point the further the crasser you cooperate, the better your chances are getting a deal.
yeah, and he was like, nope.
And you're last.
Right, exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
I'm like, you ain't gonna get nothing, and he didn't.
He didn't. Yeah. It's quite interesting. One of the scenes that it's more than a scene, but like one of the themes of the show that I enjoyed was how like each of their incidents, they would have the police report dated like Jenkins, and it'll be like
The flashbacks.
flashbacks. It'll tell you what happened and then the date,
Mm-hmm.
and you're thinking what you have like a general memory of what you were doing that time. So I was actually doing this 2016. This February 2016. This is what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So this was what was simultaneously happening in the streets of Baltimore. That's wild.
Yeah, actually.
So like
I like how those flashbacks were framed.
yeah, it was really real well thought out and directed.
Yeah, from the framework of of a police report.
Yeah, exactly. It was pretty dope. But yeah, like it's part of the reason why like the force is just dirty in Baltimore.
And don't get it twisted. There are some good cops.
There are
in
some
the
good
city.
cops, yeah, but they're still struggling in reforming it.
Yeah.
Which is why the crime rate is still so high. Like Baltimore, I think they report over 300 homicides a year still till today. It's one of the highest crime areas or cities in the country.
Yeah, them in New York. Yeah.
Yeah. No, obviously Chicago is always in there as well. But like
even on The Wire, when they show this on The Wire, they
Yeah.
show that the cops that are trying to do some good in there, they're always met with like obstruction within the department.
yeah.
Like the one character on here that's probably supposed to be representative of a good cop, Jamie Hector's character, Detective Sean Suter.
Yeah. Even he has some dirt, but he wasn't like the others. But he wasn't like completely clean either.
He wasn't completely clean, no.
Yeah. But he tried like to to be better.
He tried to do his job.
Yeah, he tried to be better than the rest of them.
That's why he became a plainclothes detective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but they eventually. Well, let me not say that. Because
it'll be a spoiler.
Yeah, it'll be a spoiler. The last episode just came out yesterday, which I saw. So.
And also, the police department is so poor in their resources that the cops actually have to use their own money to get equipment, like the tracker.
Yeah, you remember this? It's crazy. Like,
was that department that shoot? Oh hell no! I bought that shit myself.
Yeah, like, and that
Like they gotta buy their own resources. Like teachers are gonna buy their own equipment for a classroom.
Right. The Baltimore government, or the state, or
county, city.
The county. Yeah, there you go. The county government. I don't know how they set up their budget because it just doesn't make any sense.
You see how they take money when one department doesn't got enough money.
They'll take from the other.
They'll take from the others. Yeah.
Like,
Like the police department budget as a debt. Okay, we'll take money from the education department.
Exactly. Like, wait, why would you do that? You're just gonna create more criminals if you're gonna.
Exactly. And teachers aren't gonna come in and teach
it goes back to our point. Like, this is not really well thought out. Like, you want to improve the environment in the community so that there's less likely a chance that people go into crime.
And they roll over debt too, like carry over debt every year.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like on a lesser extent, I see that at my job with like grants, like people that can't spend all their money, so they carry over that and balance the next year.
I hear that. But yeah, overall, I think it was a good show. I think it started off slow. I'm like, what is this that Sai got me watching? But then by like episode 2 or 3, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, this is interesting. But it's a good show. It's short, 6 episodes.
It should have gone on longer if it wanted to tackle police corruption, but given the fact that it was based off a book.
It's based on a book based on a true story. So like it's like real life events and stuff like that.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. So like they have actual like body cameras of actual incidents of the actual police. Yeah, so like even though it's a little bit fictional, a lot of it is taken from some of the actual footage that was recorded by Jenkins and his team.
And they should have used the footage from some of the people that were recording the event, like especially Officer Herschel, when he's like,
"Yeah, I know.
He touched me. I'm like, you just bumped into that guy on purpose, and people saw you. I'm like, lying motherfucker.
I'm like, how is he not hemmed up when there's actually real footage of
him?
Civilians?
Yeah.
It's a joke, bro. It's a joke. It's a joke, man. But yeah.
It just shows that the Baltimore Police Department, it still is a dysfunctional bureaucracy.
Very much so, and that's why it still has a high level of crime, a high level of shit in Baltimore. Why?
Have you ever been stopped in Baltimore by a cop?
No. Have you?
Never.
Yeah, but
never had nothing happen to me in Baltimore.
Yeah, me neither. But like that's why they were also. I won't be surprised if that's a major reason why during the pandemic they were hit heavy. Baltimore really struggled during the pandemic.
They did.
With cases and everything, and it just makes a lot more sense. Like, their county government is not really efficient.
Their county and city governments are not efficient.
Yeah, and I think that has trickled down to the medical, the healthcare unit. I won't be surprised if that shit's all over the place too.
You think that another thing, the governor? You think the governor has an issue with Baltimore, like not wanting to funnel no money their way from Annapolis? Or as much money?
Probably. I don't know. That's a great question. Because
Baltimore has been a historically poor and violent city for decades.
Yes. I know now they're trying to... The early stages of gentrification are beginning, but the way that city is a shithole, and excuse my... not all of Baltimore, just
not
some
all
of it.
Yeah.
It's going to take some time, man, and I think it starts out with... And I don't want to make it seem like government is responsible for everything, because at the end of the day we're a free market too. So like the private sector should help too. But like some of the ground foundations should be set by the government, because you need incentives to bring private investors there, right?
Yeah, you do.
So like if they come there and they see like this shit is all over the place, what is the incentive for them to stay or invest in the city?
And they'll stay in like only the good parts.
Only the good parts.
So like the Inner Harbor.
Exactly. So or
Fells Point, yeah.
Or Fells Point, Owens Mills, that side. I just feel bad, man, and this was definitely an eye opener for me. To like, I mean, you always, since with us living here, we kind of hear about it on the news all the time and see some images, because I drive there sometimes in Baltimore, so you see like the thin line between stability and extreme poverty.
Right. Yeah.
But like it definitely opens your eyes somewhat to like the root of some of the problems there, and the high turnover rate for like high officials there that are also involved in illegal activity is kind of startling too. Some of it is covered in the shows, but I don't want to do spoilers.
Yeah, I mean...
So I'll let y'all get to those that haven't seen it to get it. But you can Google it too.
You can Google it. The mayor, their commissioners.
Yeah. They're all in... They're not necessarily corrupt in the sense of being involved in the GTTF, but they have their own...
But they do their own dirt.
Yeah, they do their own dirt.
And they get caught doing it.
Yeah, so...
You should know something else.
What's up?
I just recently learned that the city of Gaithersburg, they have a mayor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I thought they were unincorporated like us.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Huh.
Gaithersburg has a mayor.
Yeah.
Oh. See? Nah, this is typical of us. We've been super Americanized. If we were living in other countries, we'd probably be aware of all our government officials in Maryland. We like America is like one country of different bubbles. You always comfortable in your little bubble. You don't want to know what's going on around you.
Exactly.
Unless shit hits the
Unless
fan.
it affects you.
Yeah, shit hits the fan. Like, oh shit. Well, then you find out this is who's responsible for this. We need to do better. It spawns a lot of ignorance. But yeah, if you haven't watched this show, go watch it. It's fairly new. It just ended yesterday, actually.
Only 6 episodes,
Only
too,
6
so you'll be done with it
episodes.
quick.
Especially, not to discriminate, y'all can all watch it, but everybody from Maryland can watch it. You know, just to get
People from Maryland will get it.
you get some familiarity because you live around here and you understand it.
The same way people in New Mexico, they get Breaking Bad.
Right. I wouldn't know any much. I love Breaking Bad, but I wouldn't have that relation because I've never lived around that side. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, a girl I used to know that never watched Breaking Bad despite being from New Mexico.
Yeah.
I bought her all the DVDs for it, and she was telling me, I know that spot, I know this spot, and this, and I'm like, okay.
Look at that.
Aren't you glad I financed your Breaking Bad education?
Right. That's a great show too. So y'all need to check that out.
That and Better Call Saul, yeah.
I never watched that, but I heard that's good. I know about it.
It started off
spinoff.
It started off slow for me too, just like how this started off for you slow.
Yeah, but
it got better.
You're like the 4th or 5th person that like recommended like, yo, that's a really great show. I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
I thought it would be trash because of how good
Breaking Bad
was so good. I'm like, I can't imagine they can make this just as good without my man Heisenberg,
Walter White,
and
Jesse
Pinkman, the legend of Jesse.
I like how they're giving the bad guys more of a backstory to see how they came up and how they interacted.
Yeah,
Gus,
exactly.
Mike, and then Salamancas.
Right. I love that show. It's one of my favorites. So.
Crime shows are some of my favorites. Yeah.
Yeah, some of them. Yeah, definitely. But yeah. Any things you want to add to close this one up?
What's it called? Other than just check out We Own This City.
Yeah.
And shout out to Ray Liotta. He died on Saturday.
Oh yeah, rest in peace, legend. Yeah.
Goodfellas, Copland. What else?
Oh yeah, he was on Copland. Yeah. Obviously, Goodfellas was like probably his most popular role.
Yeah, it was definitely a Henry Hill. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was a hell of a fun actor to watch. He died in his sleep at the age of 67 in the Dominican Republic. So to the loss.
Yeah, man. Shout out to him and condolences to his family.
Yes.
And loved ones, man, for sure. But yeah, I think that's it, right?
That's it. Yeah.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, give us some feedback, comment,
distribute this link everywhere. Yeah. Tell all your friends about the 301 Colored Commentators.
Right. If you haven't already, you better subscribe.
Tell your friends, tell your grandmother about this, son.
You better subscribe, like this shit, and then something you don't like, let us know. We ain't petty. We cool with it, man.
No doubt.
Yeah. So yeah. Just circulate this thing, man, and continue to follow us. We really appreciate it. We're not taking it for granted at all.
No, sir.
So love always, man.
All right. Peace.